Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and good day. Welcome to the Pauly Jon Channel, the place where we talk about anything, everything, nothing, and in between. We've got a special treat on for this evening. We are going to be doing story time with Uncle Tiptruck. Tips, how you going, mate?
Yeah, I'm bloody good, mate. How are you?
I'm here, mate, smiling.
That's good. That's the main thing.
Well, this is your video, mate. Take it away. What are we doing?
Um,
Story time. Let me get me
just
cookies and
thought I
milk.
would reminisce a little bit about some things that I went through and did sort of post school to prior to joining the army. As a lot of people that know that I have a really shit memory, so I can't remember a lot of the stuff. But
Yeah, I'm
these are
still
a few.
waiting for me gift on Pokemon, mate. Send it.
These are a few of the things that have stuck in my head over the years, and I'm sure I'll remember more along the way. But we'll see how we go anyway. Um, so when I left school, um, back when school used to be the old way, if you're born on that certain year, that's the grade you're in. Not like now, how it's split between June and July. I finished school and I was only just turning 17, so I still had 12 months of after school after year 12 before I was 18. So obviously I needed a job, and Dad was the boss of a track gang between Hewins and Winton. So he got me a job, but I had to be 18 to be in the railway. So we falsified my birth certificate to get me in the railway. So I changed my date of birth from the 11th of December 1980 to the 11th of January 1980. So that's how I
Good.
got into the railway. Um, got into the track gang. Then it used to be Dad and these two old fellas, Jimmy Norman and Boy McNally. And I used to sit in the back of the troopy with Jimmy Norman, and he was a weird cat, bro. We And as you know, northwest Queensland, hot, flies everywhere. Jimmy could never drive with all the windows in the troop carrier closed. He always had to have his window that he sat on open because he thought that the gas and the aircon would blow the car up. Like, he was cooked, man. But awesome old fella. He actually sold me my first car. We used to call the Silver Bullet, 1985 Nissan Bluebird. He gave it to me for, I think it was $850.
You don't see them
Couldn't
around
do,
anymore.
couldn't do over 80 k's an hour, or else I'd overheat. Got pulled up by the cops first day of owning it. It was treated me well, that car. When I traded it in, I bought my first brand new car, being a Hyundai Excel. It was white, had electric blue mags, the pinstripes,
You mean the
man.
sex cell?
Yeah, well, it was a marvelous car, let me tell you. Never did me wrong ever. Had the sports exhaust on it, sports steering wheel, all that sort of jazz. It used to do hill climbs. We used to do hill climbs in it. Just chuck it in first gear, and you literally didn't even have to put your foot on the accelerator. It would just climb up these hills. Then we used to take it out and do mad figure of eight reverse doughies in it because it was front wheel drive. Anyway, that's later on. That's out of order. Um, Jimmy Norman, Boy McNally. Boy McNally was the driver. He drove the troopy, right? And I used to sit directly behind him. And he used to sit there and suck on these big, stinky, fat cigars. And being an old fella, he obviously pull the cigar out and he just turn his head and he'd spit all the saliva out the window. And I don't know how many times I'd just get the spray back off his cigar spit straight in my face. There's even a couple of times, right? I'll be sitting there at the back and he did this big spit. Sometimes he wouldn't turn his head and spit out the window. He'd just go, and all the saliva and shit would just hang off his lip onto the seatbelt, then onto the bloody window of the car. And it was just like spider webs of saliva
Yuck.
from from him out to the car. And I used to every afternoon at work, every afternoon I'd say, Dad, you got to let me drive. I can't sit behind Boy anymore. It stinks. And the cigars stunk. And when it went out, he'd just leave it sitting in his mouth, just sucking on it. Horrendous. Horrendous it was. Um, another little story. It used to be us. We used to work the track, and we used to be share an office with the bridge gang. So we were the track gang, and had the bridge gang, and old Goffy, his name was, and he used to be the boss, and he always used to come and tell Dad, because when we had lunch breaks or morning tea breaks, I used to go shit under the bridges.
Lovely.
And Goffy and all his boys used to find all the shit under the bridges when they were working, and he always used to get up Dad and get up me. Stop. You need to tell your boy to stop shitting under the bridges. Anyway, that's not a real funny one, but yeah. So when I first joined the railway, I only joined up for a 6 month probation type thingy. Then after the 6 months were up, they didn't renew me, so I had to go find another job. So I ended up getting a job in a tannery. You know what a tannery is?
Never heard of it, mate.
So a tannery is like a big factory thing where you stretch, dry, clean all sort of animal hides and stuff.
Lovely.
So I'd been working there for a month or so. Me and another young fella started working there, and I got called in to work on a Saturday, I think it was, and I was working with this older fella, and for the life of me, I can't remember his name. And we were doing these big cattle hides, and it was like a big iron or a big, I can't remember exactly what we are doing. We are like pressing these big cattle hides, and I'd be on one side, he'd be on the other side. Obviously, we'll put the hide in, then we'll say we're clear, then we both push. I think it's a foot button or a foot pedal or a button. I can't remember what it was. Then this big press would come down, flatten out the hides, then it'll lift back up again, and we'd move it over, do the rest of it, then change them out. Then this one time, it was only me and him in this massive shed. It's like a bunning shed. So just imagine a full size bunning shed. We were down one end, and the door to get out was up the other end. And this one time, the presses come down, and all I'm hearing is this screaming and yelling, and the presses come up, and I've run around and see what happens. And he got his thumb caught, and
Oh,
he ripped the whole top end of his thumb off, and all you can see was the bone sticking out.
big love.
So we're like, fuck. Then obviously had to get him to the hospital because he's the nail was ripped off, and all the nail and all the backside, the skin down to here was ripped off. So we started walking back using our shirts and stuff to hold all the blood in. And we got halfway to the door, and he started collapsing because he's losing all this blood, and I'm only, freshly 18, or probably not even 18. And got to try and get this fella to the car. Ended up getting into the car. Took ages to get into the car because had his arms over me. I was carrying him because he was fucking all faint and limp and losing blood. Got him to the car, and I had this old Nissan Bluebird, bro, doing 100 and God knows what, because the tannery was like a couple k's out of town. And all I can remember him saying to me is, "Oh, don't kill me before I get there." I got him to the hospital. Then the nurses say, "Oh, any chance you can go back and find the rest of his finger?"
Oh,
So I went back to the tannery. Then his nail was stuck on top of the press. His nail and all the back half of his skin just sitting there beautifully, like it just been pulled straight off.
yeah.
Mate, crazy. I shat myself.
Oh, I
But
bet.
that was me. That was me tannery days. Then I ended up getting a job back on the railway. And I've been there for a few months. Then an opportunity came up to sit for a aptitude test to be a trainee driver, and I don't know how.
What would you have to do for that? Forward and back and brake.
Mate, there's a bit more to it than that.
Oh,
It's got
like,
it's got like three different braking systems. You got your
yeah,
dynamic
foot,
brake,
foot
your
brake,
engine
stop
brake.
brake, and stop.
There's no foot brake. Um, anyway, I'd sat the aptitude testing and passed, and ended up getting a spot in the hometown in
Hang
Hughenden.
on, so wait, back it up. Who sat the aptitude test for you?
I did. I wasn't that dumb back then. Oh, that was only the start of my brain dead years.
All right, yeah, keep going.
I was still 18. I wasn't even 19 at this stage. Because by the time I finished, I was fully qualified 19, and I believe I was the youngest qualified train driver in Queensland at that time. That's what I was told. So I was only just turned 19, and I was fully qualified driving trains. So,
Nice.
um, So I think it was about a 6 month process. I must have only just been 18 when I did the aptitude testing because it was about a 6 month process going through all your different courses. I think it's like two or three different courses. Then you go and do. Then I went and did like observing. So I was a trainee driver, finished all my courses, just waiting for a tutor to be attached to me. So I did some observation drives where I'd just sit in the middle seat or go hang down the other end because obviously the locos have a cab at each end.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got my tutor. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's a top bloke. Me and him had some good times. We we used to drive to Charters Towers, which is about a 8 hour trip on a good day, maybe early, I can't remember. Then we drive to Cloncurry, which Curry usually a 12 hour trip, but you never used to get there because of all the railway works, because of all the 40 zones and stuff like that. It used to be a really slow trip. Anyway, when we used to do curry jobs, we used to go to when we used to go to Charters Towers, we used to go to Charters Towers. You have your 8 hour layoff where you're meant to go and rest and have a sleep before you drive the train home. I don't know how many times we'd just go straight to the pub because in the towers, the train station, road, pub. Then the train quarters were attached to the pub. We just go straight to the bar, sit there, drink for 8 hours, and jump back on the train and drive it back to Hughenden. Just blind. I don't. There's that many times I'd just fall asleep, and my tutor would drive the whole train back. There was a couple times he introduced me to all the C4 and the detonators. So you got the little orange detonators you put on the railway line. So when you're doing work on the railway line, the train will run over a det, make a big noise, and let you know, oh, must be must be working on the track ahead. So what we used to do, you get a container, big tall container, used to hold about 8 or 12 debts in it. Used to get the container, empty the debts out, cut all the debts open, and just pack all the C4 into these big containers and put a wick into it. We used to pull the train up and go find these anthills and put the big packets of C4 in the side of these anthills and just blow them up. Or would strap debts to the side of the train and just set them alight as the train was going along, and the big C4 banging off on the side of these trains as we're driving along.
So if you
I don't
did that
know.
now in this day and age, you'd be in jail.
Oh, mate, ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But that was some of the shenanigans we used to do um, when it was just me and him. Then obviously I was with him for about 3 months. Then um, then to become qualified, you obviously need to be able to drive the train, control it, and you need to memorize your route. So you need to know all your stops in between Hughenden and Cloncurry and Hughenden and Charters Towers. You
But
need to know where
don't you
all
have
your
that? Don't you have that PA system? Next stop, blah blah blah.
no,
Next stop.
so, no. The trains, there used to be a passenger train, but that was you'd only get that once every now once. I think I only did the passenger train probably half a dozen, 10 times
Yeah,
in
there was a reason for that.
in 4 years or whatever it was. But most of the trains we did were fertilizer,
That's a
like your
poo.
good, your goods, like all your containers and stuff like that. Stock. They were the sort of the three main ones we did
Yeah,
that I can
nice.
remember. But anyway, ended up passing. Yay, got qualified. And I don't know how long into my um, train driving career this was. It must have been a fair way into it because I had the confidence enough to do it. But I was going to Charters Towers one day, right? And I only had a 50 bag of hydro on me, and I'm like, "Fuck! I'm not gonna have a smoke until I get the Charters Towers." I didn't want to waste it. Then between Hillman and Charters Towers, you got Prairie. I think it's Torrance Creek, Pentland, Homestead, Valves Creek. There's like 5 little stops in between Hillman and Charters Towers. Anyway, I got through Prairie, the first stop. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna have a bong. So I started chopping up, making a mix. And by the time I got to Torrance Creek, I had my little bowl there. She's all chopped up, spun up, ready to go. And I'm looking through my fucking esky and I didn't have a lighter. What the fuck am I gonna do? And I looked down and I was probably about 5 minutes ahead of time because I was just that good. Anyway, pulled the train up in the station at fucking Torrance Creek, ran across the road to Torrance Creek into the pub, grabbed a lighter, back across the highway into the train, off I went again. Then, so an hour to Prairie, an hour to Torrance Creek. So I was leaving Torrance Creek, got me lighter, Yahoo. So waited till I left the station. I got out of town, started, having a smoke. By the time I got to the next town, Pentland, mate, I was out the window spewing. I was greening out. I was sweating. I was going as white as my hat was, bro. Just had control. And I'm like, nah, I'm done. Ended up smoking the whole bag before I even got the Charters Towers. Just,
And
I
you were
was in
supposed to save it till
the way.
charters.
And I was supposed to save it, and I didn't even get halfway, and I greened out, and I just wrecked the whole mix. Brush. So that's me greening out story on the train, anyway.
And this is
Another thing
why
on
this is only why you did the passenger train once or twice.
month or twice wasn't good enough. Another. I used to sneak the missus at the time. She used to wait outside of town, and one of the jobs you used to do was called a changeover or a crossover, a changeover, I think it was. So you'd take the train halfway to Charters Towers, then other train would come the opposite direction. The crews would change over. Then you'd take that train back home, and they'll take their train back home. So whenever I used to do a changeover job, I used to take the missus up in the cab with me, and yeah, halfway to Charters Towers, used to do some things and change
Yeah,
over.
story time. It's good. It's beautiful.
But yeah, we used to smoke it up and have some sexy time.
You're
Yeah,
cooked.
so that was good. That was good. Then I just before we come back on town, she'd jump off, jump back in the car, and away we went. But obviously we ended up breaking up, and she did the deed on me a few times and fucked my life. But anyway,
Oh, look where you're at now, mate. Life is good.
yes, no, it's all good. Um, 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 um. So
What
that
else you got,
was
mate?
what else have I got? That's yep. Bloody. We're not. Hang on, I apologize. Oh, so before I was a train driver, there was these big floods around town, around the area, and a lot of the line between Hillingdon and Winton got washed away. So we had to do a night trip in a little putt putt. So a little putt putt's like a little. So just imagine those things on the railway line that you're standing on and you're pumping up and down. You
On a
know what I'm
pogo
talking
stick?
about? Got the four wheels. You see in the old movies, people going across the railway line with those things. They
Oh,
pump
yeah, yeah,
down,
yeah.
makes it move. Like that, a little tiny bit bigger. It's got a motor on it. It's called a putt putt. So we had to do a 4 hour trip from
On one of
Hillingdon
them.
to in these little putt putts, and it was dark. So we ended up coming across the bit with no where all the flooding was, bro. We went across the rails, and we just looked down because the putt putt started doing these ones, and we just looked down, and there was nothing underneath us. There was no sleepers, no dirt. It was just two lines just flapping in the breeze. I don't know how we didn't derail. Crazy. Anyway, we ended up getting to Winton, and we did some work in Winton for weeks and weeks, repairing these floods and washouts. And there was one night we went to the Aussie hotel, my first night out in Winton it was, and I met these lads. We were playing pool and having a few drinks, and they said, "Oh, you want to come back? Want to come back to the caravan for a bit of a smoke?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah, may as well." And they didn't know me. They didn't know I had fucking hydro and all this good stuff on me. Then went back to the caravan. Have pulled out this shitty, leafy, seedy bush bud, and they're chopping a mix up.
I don't know nothing about it, mate. You're telling the story.
Well, you meant to be asking questions and being curious. Anyway, And we finished this mix, and they're sitting there going, "Oh yeah, that's good, eh?" And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, I'm not even like feeling it. So I was sitting there for 5 minutes later, having a beer and having a yarn. I'm like, "Fuck this!" So I pulled out this 50 bag of hydro and just went bang. I'm like, "Chop this up, boys," and they're like I was fucking Jesus without the ginger beard. They thought all their Christmases come at once. And anyway, that started a long um, endeavor of selling hydro to Witten boys. But no, they loved it. They thought I was God, so that was good. Um, right, so when we used to as you would know from all these stories, I used to be a bit of a stoner, right? And all the good times that I had revolved
Couldn't have figured.
revolved revolved around all this sort of stuff. Um, when a lot of the time, what we'd do is would go drive out of town for a smoke, and on a couple occasions, like you mightn't think it's funny, but we did. We were young, we shit ourselves. It was just heart palpitizing type stuff. Um, we went out for a drive out of town one night, one day. Me and a mate. I'm not gonna say his name. He'll know who he is. And we found this spot. We just park up the side of the road. I used to drive like 10 k's out of town. Find the spot, park up on the side of the road, make a mix. And we're sitting there one day. We've just finished making this mix, and over in the distance, this fucking old Land Cruiser came over the hill with these roof racks on, and we were freaked out. We're like, "Fuck! It's the cops! It's the cops!" So we fucking grabbed the weed bowl, threw it out the door. The bong water got spilt everywhere through the car, and we're just sitting there freaking out, all red eyed. And this old shitty Land Cruiser just drove past us. We're like, "You got to be fucking kidding me!" Anyway, we chopped up another mix. Then we finished that. Then went back into town. Then this other time, me, my best mate, and these two lads at the back. Um, we went out the other side of town for this mix, and we just finished this mix. We come back in town. This is in the old Bluebird, nah, Bluebird or Hyundai, I can't remember.
Either
And
one.
the cops, we literally started the car up, moved down the road. A minute later, the cops come past us, and we're freaking out. We opened the glove box up, and we're like, "Oh fuck, lucky they didn't get us because we had about 10 grams of hydro on us." Then meet the boys in the back fucking pulled like 5 ounces of weed out of their pants, and we didn't even know they had. We would have been fucked, gone to jail. Fucking crazy. Um, that's about all I can think of at the moment.
What
But
shirt you got there, mate? That's very eye catching.
this is one of the ones some baldy-headed bastard sent me. It's called "Kind of Fit, Kind of Fat."
That's you all over, mate.
Um, that's the brand. So I don't mind it. It's nice and tight on the sleeves, on the arms, and nice and loose around the fat guts. It's good.
That sense kind of fit, kind of fat. Suits the hat. Ah,
But
that rhymes.
I will endeavour to try and think of a few more stories. They're just a couple that sort of pop into my brain.
No,
I
that's
know there
good.
was a few people that were keen to hear the old greenhouse story. Actually, I got one more. I've just thought of it. I was up at mate's place. So his mum and dad used to live on Beaconsfield Street in Hughenden, right? And real good mate at the time used to live up the road from mum and dad. And it was a Sunday afternoon, and we just finished a mix. And Sunday footy was on, and I was going to walk down to mum and dad's and watch footy with my little bro. And so we had another mix, and we're smashing these cones. And I said, "Righto, boys, I'm gonna head down the oldies and watch some footy." And I got up, walked to the front door, and my head's just going like this, and I've had to grab the door, and I'm like, "Hang on, what's going on here?" Then the boys are like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sweet." Walked down to the front gate, opened the front gate up, started walking down a better, I don't know, 500-600 meter walk to mum and dad's.
Too far.
Literally got halfway, and all I can remember is walking in a straight line, then just going, just everything went black and white, and I just went bang. Head hit the bitumen. My Oakley's come off, smashed, and I just remember laying on the ground in the fetal position, like, fuck. Came around, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Got on my little blue Motorola flip phone with the blue LED lights, and I rang my little brother up. And I said, "Oh, bro, you need to come and get me. I've just fallen over and passed out and greened out on the road." So he came and got me, and yeah, went
Happy,
home and watched
happy day.
footy. Nah, it wasn't happy days. That's the only time that's ever happened to me. I don't know why, or the boys must have poisoned me.
Six
But
months later, here
we
you
used to
are.
sit in that we used to sit in that house, and this is when PS2 was first released, and we used to just smoke bongs and just play when the very first V8 supercars came out.
Mm,
And I think I can't remember if it was the first Need for Speed, but we used to cane Bathurst and Need for Speed just on time trials,
yeah.
bro. Just hours and hours, and that was the first of my rage quitting. That's when it first started.
What do you mean you do it
Like,
every time on COD when you get killed?
mate, I know. Well, when people jump around, do 360 fucking quick scopes and um, snipe you from 5,000 miles away.
Speaking of games and consoles, mate, you have made some money doing that crap.
You did.
I'm picking up some more tomorrow. We'll
Oh,
explain
yeah?
later. We'll explain later,
Yeah.
mate. Yeah.
So that's where my gaming first got serious. It was me and the boys doing time trials on V8 supercars and Need for Speed. But they were good days. Like, we used to cane it for days and days and days. I think I went through like 3 PS2s, just smashing consoles and controllers. And
Through the TV like a boomerang.
yeah,
We've
I
all
first
been
remember
there,
when
done
they
that.
first come out. The PS2 when it first came out was like $600.
Well, PS5s now are like 899 brand new, I'm pretty sure, from EB Games. They're only going to get more expensive.
They were more than that, weren't they, when they first came out? They were nearly a grand, weren't they?
I know me dad bought a PS something and it was $999. I think it might have been the PS3 when that came out.
Yeah,
Remember the first one,
PS3 was
the first one that you could stand up.
PS3.
I think that was
Oh,
it. Yeah.
nah, PS2 you could stand up as well. Well, I don't think it was designed to stand up, but you could stand it up. I'm pretty sure you could.
Proud as
What was
well.
your very first gaming console?
Nintendo 64, and it's sitting right there. Still
Is
got
it?
it. Yeah, still got
My
it.
very first gaming console was an Atari, but it was the Atari with 128 games built in,
There you go.
mate. Mum and dad never used to, well, dad didn't, but it used to believe in video games and stuff like we never had internet or any of that sort of stuff. Um, like mum and dad have only, well, dad's only just had Wi-Fi put in the house in the last sort of 5 years. But
Listen, on a
he
more important question, I've realised why you have a beard now.
to hide my identity.
It's to hide your turkey neck, like this thing here.
Yeah, 100%, hundred
Ugh.
percent. You just notice your
I did
your
just notice
chins.
me turkey neck, mate.
Well, maybe you need to grow a beard. Look at my face; it's just white
Oh,
and
mate,
pale.
beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But
Well,
no,
we've gone through and talked about what beards do for men's looks.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Maybe some Ashley and Martin for you, mate, or some Pilot to
Yeah,
help the upstairs.
I just got to have a scratch, mate.
Looks like I've had a haircut too. Look,
Oh yes.
I didn't.
No,
Now
that's
I'm
good, mate.
blurry.
That's good.
Yeah.
Happy with? All good? Got it off your
Um,
chest?
some of the stuff. I'm sure. Hopefully, if there's people out there listening, they remind me of a few other things because we seriously did some really cool shit back in the day. I remember going to Townsville. I've just remembered going to Townsville for a weekend. Just I thought I had a loan, right? But it ended up turning out being an overdraft, which was the thing that killed me joining the army. That's how come I went into the army with so much debt, like $30,000 of debt.
That's not much debt.
It was for me, because I had this overdraft. So every time, initially for the first how many years, I didn't realize it was an overdraft, and I thought it was a loan. And I was just paying it off and paying it off and paying it off. Then I don't know how it came about. I think I was checking my account balance one day, and it said your overdraft account has such and such thousands of dollars in it. And I started drawing back off it again, which was a mistake. But anyway, I had this $30,000 loan. Um, went to Townsville with some boys, traded the Hyundai in for a VT Club Sport, put a $10,000 stereo system in it, and spent about $5,000 on drugs and all this other shit, and spent like $25,000 in one weekend in 3 days. Ridiculous,
You're
but
kidding,
just
mate.
had an unreal rip of time. It's crazy,
That's the main thing, isn't it? You got
mate.
stories to tell about it.
100%. We even tried dealing, but a lesson I learned dealing is druggos. If you're addicted to drugs, you can't be a dealer. So if you're going to smoke the shit, you can't sell it because you smoke your own supply, but
Mate,
you're
I
not making
wouldn't know.
money.
I am a goody two shoe boy, and I know nothing about that trade, mate. Zip.
Mm-hmm. No,
Ah,
that's good.
clean.
I'm clean now.
What, since yesterday?
No, mate.
No, I'm kidding, mate. Well,
Long.
look, we might wrap that up there. That was something different. That's old story time with Uncle Tiptruck, episode 1 of 1.
Oh, hopefully someone finds it amusing.
Yes, mate, it's good for a laugh. But yeah, it's always good for a laugh, mate. And yeah, I enjoyed that, and we'll looking forward to the next video, eh?
Yeah. See if I can think of some more story time stuff. I'll have part
Beautiful,
2.
beautiful. Well, thanks for listening. If you made it to the end, um, we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a pleasant evening. Goodbye. See you. I'm off to the USA. My name is Borat. Goodbye.